What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. The first thing that I want to say before we get into the topic of this video is happy 2023. I want to also sincerely apologize for the lack of content over the past few months. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere. We just haven't really had much content. If you are a first-time viewer of this video or you're not subscribed to this channel, I would strongly encourage you to hit the subscribe button and ring that notification bell so that you can be notified of all new content that we have to offer here. But also give this video a like and a thumbs up to get the word out on YouTube that these videos exist. This video is going to be a little bit different today than some of the other ones that we've done here because we're first going to talk about where we're going to go for the year 2023. And then also get into a bit of a story time. We, of course, are going to continue on with some of the technology things like we've been doing. We do have an iOS workshop sometime in September, whenever that happens, whenever iOS 17 comes out, and various other things that we're going to be doing on this channel. Different workshops being uploaded from different places, that are different things that I've participated in, and many other things. But an idea came to mind, and I want your opinion in the comments below. One of the things that I would really like to implement on this channel and start doing is demonstrations of things that blind people do on an everyday basis. We do some of that, of course, with technology, with iOS and JAWS and all of the other stuff that we've talked about and demonstrated on this channel, but I want to know from you, the subscribers, and also maybe the first-time viewers of this video, what other things you'd like to see demonstrated from the point of view of a blind person. Because I'm sure there's so many different questions as to what can we do as blind people? What things can we do? What skills can we accomplish as blind people? And that's one of the things that I am really interested to find out is what questions do you have? What things would you like to see me demonstrate? It can be anything from taking a walk outside to cooking a meal to going on a trip somewhere. But I want your input. I want your input as to what things you would think would be interesting and what things you may have questions on as someone that maybe either has met a blind person for the first time or may meet someone that is blind for the first time in the near future. Because unfortunately, the educational awareness about not just blindness but other disabilities isn't out there as widely. So down in the comments below, I want you to take the time to kind of think about some of the things that you'd like to see demonstrated or discussed. And it doesn't have to just extend to blindness either. These are things that we can also partner with people with other disabilities as well. And we've interviewed some on this channel, and there's quite a few others that we're also going to interview, but we can also partner up with them and have them kind of talk about how they accomplish certain things throughout their lives. But I want this to be mostly led by you, the subscribers. I want your input on this. I have so many different ideas of things that I would like to be able to demonstrate and discuss, but I want your input. The first thing we're actually going to discuss today is something that I'm sure may raise questions. And that is, how does someone that is blind actually fly by themselves? And what was it like the first time it happened? And I'm going to tell that story. For those of you that may not be aware, and I think I mentioned this in the first video, in the introductory video, is I was born and raised in Connecticut, and I spent most of my life there up until about 11 years ago when I moved to Minnesota. And the first time I ever flew by myself, alone with no one accompanying me, was back in 2003, and I think I was 15 at the time. About to turn 16 or just turned 15. I can't exactly remember the time order on that, but I had come out to Minnesota and was seeing my grandparents. And I remember flying for the first time completely on my own. And this was the first time I had ever done something like this. And it was terrifying. Because up to this point, I'd been flying completely worry-free, as it were, with family members, going to various different places. But this was a totally different experience because I was flying alone. I was monitored, of course, if you want to call it, by the flight attendants and gate staff, because at that particular time I was not 18, so they had to monitor me a lot more, but it was terrifying. And thoughts were going through my mind of, am I going to get left in the airport? Am I not going to make the plane? And I think the other added component of that was I didn't have a cell phone back then. I wasn't able to call anybody. And that was something, as I sit here talking about this more, that retrospectively made it more nerve-wracking. I did not have a cell phone to be able to make phone calls and be able to check in with people. I remember when I was getting on the plane being escorted by the gate agent for the first time, I was still nervous. In fact, I think I was nervous all the way up to the point of getting off that plane. Once again, of course, being escorted by the flight attendant and meeting up with the gate agent in Connecticut, until I met up with my family. And back in that particular time, way back in 2003, and some of you that are watching this video may not necessarily remember what things were like back then, but that was back in the time when people of a certain age didn't have cell phones, weren't tied to them as much as we are now. And I couldn't, like I said earlier, call anybody when I landed to tell them where I was. But like I said earlier, I was nervous right up until the point when I got off that plane and met up with my family. I think it was in baggage claim. Since then, since 2003, I have flown many, many other times on my own. And I think the one other nervous experience I can remember is 2006. 2006, flying cross country from Connecticut to Arkansas, to Little Rock, Arkansas, to meet up with the housing staff of what was then referred to as Lions World Services for the Blind. And I remember how scared I was even at that time, because I'd only been doing it, I think that was maybe the first or second time. I think third time I'd done it in that particular span. And the other thing that was even more scary was, we are back once again. Sorry about that brief interruption, but the thing that was most scary for me about that particular experience was trying to find someone that you didn't even know didn't know who they were, and frankly, I don't know even if they even knew what I look like. I think the only thing that they knew about me was that I was totally blind and had a white cane. I don't think I had sent them a picture. Of course, back in that particular time, I didn't have a cell phone with a camera on it either. But that alone, other than flying alone for the first time and finally realizing after that that I could do it, was the most scariest part. And like I said earlier, that was something that up to that particular point, I was never able or thought that I could do successfully on my own. And after flying on my own for the first time and then doing it later on in 2006 and I believe also in 2005, I can't exactly remember the timeline and how it all played out, but I realized, you know, all you really have to do is nag the flight attendants, the gate agents, and anybody around you to ask for help. And I'll admit it, I was nervous to ask for help back then. And as I've gotten older, as time has progressed and years have progressed, I've gotten so much better at doing that. As we prepare to close this video, I'd just like to say that this type of thing is something that I really want to do. I want to kind of give you a glimpse into the world of someone who is blind that does everyday things in a different way. Whether it's through stories like this or through actual demonstrations. But I want your input. I want your input as to what types of things you'd like me to talk about, like I said in the beginning of the video, or what types of demonstrations of things that you want. Like I said earlier, we're also going to continue a lot of the things that we've done in the past, like technology demonstrations. But what I want to do is really focus more, in addition to that, on stuff like we just talked about, but also telling stories of experiences of doing things and learning how to do something. So there's so many different things that we can do with these videos and where we're going to go. But I want your input. I want your input in the comments below. What things you like to see, what questions you have, what things you'd like to see me talk about more. And like I said, this doesn't have to just extend to people with blindness either. This can extend to other disabilities. Because the main message that I want to get out there is that just because we have a disability, and I'm referring to myself and the disability community as a whole, doesn't mean that we can't be successful and we can't do things. So that's it for now. Until next time, like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and in the comments down below, please let me know what things you'd like me to talk about or demonstrate, or even ask questions in the comments below, and those can be videos themselves. And that's, I think, where I'd like to see this channel go in 2023. Along with interviews and technology demonstrations and so many other different things. But I want your help this year. I want you, the subscriber, to suggest things that we can talk about. Take care, everybody. And until next time, peace out.